Netcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the new screensavers is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. The new screensavers is brought to you by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. Get $5 off your first purchase by entering the code NSS when you check out. And by Braintree. If you're working on a mobile app and searching for a simple payment solution, check out Braintree. With one easy integration, you can offer your customers every way to pay, period. To learn more and for your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free, go to BraintreePayments.com/NSS.
Gentlemen, start your drones. The hot new phones from Motorola and inside Bill Nye the Science Guy. Live from the Twit Brick House in beautiful downtown Petaluma, it's the new Screensavers.
Welcome. This is episode 13, and they said it wouldn't last.
What do you mean this is episode 13?
This is the 13th episode of the show.
You've done the...
Without you.
You've been with other co-hosts?
I've been with other co-hosts. I'm sorry. I'm very embarrassed.
I thought we had something. I thought we were like a team, you know? Lone Ranger Tonto.
Well, we've had, this is your second appearance. I don't... It's very
out of
few
13.
People. Well, no, not a lot of people.
Has Patrick been here?
Twice.
Oh, I hate him.
Hey, we got a great show put together for you today. This is August 1st. It's a little hot in Petaluma.
I know.
You commuted up over 101, and it was a little sweaty coming up the...
It was a little sweaty, and there was a lot of traffic.
Yeah. We should warn people. In fact, if you come to visit us, and you can, tickets at twit.tv if you'd like to be in the studio audience. It does take a little while to get up here on Saturday.
Well, especially when the BART isn't running.
Yeah.
That's why you picked... Nobody else wanted to do it this weekend because they knew the traffic was going to be terrible.
Kind of true, but that's okay. I won't mention it. I won't mention it. Hey, Bill Nye, the Science Guy, you know him.
Of course.
Perhaps people got the misimpression that he might be here tonight. He's not. But we are going to talk to some filmmakers who are raising money on Kickstarter to make a film about.
That's even better.
I think it's great. No, it's not, but it's good. It's a start. Miriam Jouar will talk about new phones from OnePlus, the OnePlus 2.
Okay.
Which means it should be called the 3, right?
Yep.
It seems to me. I'm just doing the math. Also, the new Motorola is the Motorola G and a couple of new Moto X's. That was the phone of the year a couple of years ago. We'll see what Motorola's got up their sleeves. Actually, it's Lenovo now. And then we're going to talk with the race director from the United States National Drone Racing Champions.
I had no idea they were racing drones.
Oh my
It's not
gosh.
surprising.
Yeah.
They're everywhere now.
I'm thinking, what if I were going to do a Kickstarter right now, it would be a drone gun. Like some sort of device.
I would support your Kickstarter.
Yeah, wouldn't you? It shouldn't be lethal. Maybe bean bags. Like a beanbag gun.
Yeah.
Take a drone right out.
Yeah, especially if your neighbors are getting something from Amazon and you want it.
Boom!
Up above your
I like
house,
that idea.
drops right in your hand.
We're also going to do tech questions, of course, in our call for help. But you know what's this week in Vegas? Patrick used to go to this. Blackhat and Defcon, the two big hacker conventions. And you know who goes now? We send a priest. Maybe he can exercise some of the hacked machines. Father Robert Balliser, come on in here. He's our digital Jesuit. He hosts Know-How, Coding 101, This Week in Enterprise Tech. Have you ever met? This guy's my brother from another mother.
We just met today?
We just met. I'm a huge fan of his.
Isn't he great? I love him.
That's a good cover.
I grew up
as
watching
a priest at Defcon.
I know, right?
The
How did
will
they
never
react?
suspect.
There's actually a problem with that because one of the goons, the people who organized the event, he has the nickname Priest. So people started thinking, wait, are you priest? I'm like, do I look like him?
I'm a priest, not the priest.
Yes, a priest, one of the multiple, not the actual priest.
But they don't discriminate against you. I mean, there's feds walking around. In fact, there's a fun game they play at Defcon, or maybe it's at Blackhat, called Spot the Fed.
No, it is Defcon, Spot the Fed. So if you find someone who you can get them to admit that they are a federal agent, you get a T-shirt and they get a T-shirt.
Do you have an advantage getting them to admit it because nobody wants to lie to a priest?
Well, my partner for the conference this year actually is a Fed, so I'm kind of cheating. I'm bringing one with me.
You win.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Blackhat, Defcon, they got one after the other.
Right. This is sort of this is the hacker summer camp week.
Right. Because
you start the week with Blackhat, and Blackhat is the more professional show.
Right.
You get a lot of educational seminars. You get keynotes talking about the state of security. You get a lot of proof of concepts. But it's more or less just the truly suit and tie side of hackers.
It's white hat hackers primarily.
White trending towards gray, leaking into black.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
you get a couple of them there. But then you have Defcon at the end of the week. And if you go to Blackhat and not Defcon, there's something wrong with you.
Defcon's the fun one.
Defcon's the fun one. Because whereas Blackhat is all about learning things, Blackhat is all about meeting up with all the other people who are also learning those things. It's the social event.
Right.
I don't go to any of the talks at Defcon because you can get them online later on. I sit in the hardware hacking village, in the lock picking village. I go to capture the flag. It's a really nice time to meet people that you want to talk to during the year.
Sounds like fun. Capture the flag. They're all trying to own a machine.
Right. So you get points for breaking into servers that have been set up, and you have to it's like you plant your flag.
Right.
And the last couple of years have been really boring because there's been one or two teams that are really good.
Yeah.
And so they've got like 5,000 points, and everyone else has 30 points.
It's just like Quake 3, if you ask me. It's not much different. So we asked you to come in because one of the things that does happen during this week is a lot of exploits, cracks, issues that people should pay attention to get revealed. For instance, of course, that Jeep hack that Wired Magazine talked about, where Charlie Miller and his partner were able to take over a Jeep through the internet, was kind of released prior to their talk, which is coming up this week. And I expect we're going to see a lot more of that. Can you tell us some of the things you're looking for?
There's two lines that I'm going to follow at Blackhat. And the first one is all the car hacks. There's 4 major car hacks.
4?
There's 4.
Oy, oy, oy.
So there's Miller, and the one that you saw in Wired, where they hacked the Uconnect on a Jeep, and they were able to control the transmission, the engine, all the electronics, turn off the brakes if they wanted to.
Then Chrysler Fiat issued a 1.4 million car recall because of this. All the Uconnect cars are being brought back to be patched.
Right. So they were pretty responsible about it. But then there's also the NCC group. It's a group, by the way, I think they're named
NCC 1701?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what they did it after. But they have come up with a hack like this. It does the same thing. It infects the head unit, the entertainment system of the car, and then spreads from there. But it's not bidirectional. It uses, you know how when you're tuning your radio and suddenly the song title comes up?
Yeah.
That's the digital audio band. It's a sideband.
It's like RDS, I think.
Correct. Yeah, it transmits data to your unit. Now they figured out they could set up a software-defined radio and basically act like a broadcast tower. Any car that's vulnerable in that radius will get hacked.
That's brilliant.
Which is wonderful.
And the problem is that these cars have saved money by putting everything on the same bus, the entertainment system and the car's ignition and brakes and acceleration systems. They say we've got them firewalled, but obviously they don't.
They're not.
Because, and this is all on a CAN bus, and it was to save money.
Yeah. Then of course there's their semi-cam car. That was just released a few days ago. That's the OnStar. He created a small device that can hack the OnStar system on GM cars.
But that you need physical access to the car for.
Well,
maybe not.
You need to be close enough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to give the presentation. I'm actually that one I'm really looking forward to because that's the one I have the least details about.
Right.
And the last.
Well, in every case, they hold back till their talk.
Right, because they want you to come to the talk.
Right.
But the last one is Colby Moore came up with a way to hack the satellite systems on semi trucks. Oh, so they use the Globalstar satellite system to know where the trucks are. He can spoof their location, make them appear thousands of miles away from where they are. He could take them off the system altogether. The most interesting part is you could use this to track a truck. So if you're looking for cargo and you know a particular truck has it, you can now not just figure out where it is, but you could keep the authorities from knowing where it is.
Wow.
And that satellite network is completely unencrypted. There's no authentication. There's nothing. So this is one of these things where they're not going to be able to fix that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you'll report back next week. Steve Gibson will be joining us. He's going to give us the kind of remediation steps for whatever he can for the things that are revealed at Blackhat and Defcon this week. And you'll, of course, feed us as much information as you can. You're not going to do any shooting down there.
Oh, yes.
You are?
At Blackhat, yes. Defcon, they're really sensitive about shooting.
They often also say, in fact, Patrick would never bring any electronics. He would never bring his phone or a laptop because they try to hack you, right? You don't want to get on, what do they call that, the wall of ponage?
The wall of sheep.
Wall of sheep.
They actually have a wall at the conference with a projector, and it shows all the passwords and usernames that have been exposed in real time.
So Patrick just says, I'm not going to bring anything. Yeah. So in order to do this, you're going to have to bring some hardware down.
I'm going to bring some hardware. I always bring an XP laptop just to figure out how fast it will get hacked.
You should bring Windows 10 with you and see. Have you installed it yet?
I have Windows 10 on 4 of my lab machines
and it's going well?
I like it.
I love it.
It's nice. It's fast.
And the install's been straightforward?
Very straight. I haven't had a single. I know people
have they all
had
activated?
Issues. They've all activated, so I am completely legal, completely ready to go, including one that's an enterprise version.
Good. I'm installing it right here on this laptop using Apple's Boot Camp. Maybe before the end of the show we'll have something running. And of course we did it on Windows Weekly as well. It took me 2.5 hours. Wow. But that's because I made a bunch of bad mistakes, kind of on purpose to see what would happen. Let me ask you about 2 issues with Windows 10 that are getting a lot of attention. Wi-Fi Sense. This is something I thought was a pretty cool idea. Microsoft put this in Windows 10. You know, when you get to a coffee shop or a hotel and you start to use the Wi-Fi, you get a page that says, all right, well, give us some information now. This provides dummy information and logs you in automatically to Wi-Fi access points in many cases. That's kind of cool. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
The other thing it'll do is it uses Hotmail, Outlook, and Facebook to share your Wi-Fi passwords with your friends. And people are really concerned that A, Microsoft will have your Wi-Fi passwords, and B, that this may be an insecure way to open your Wi-Fi access point. Now, there was an article by Krebs on security. Brian Krebs, who we have a lot of respect for. He said this is the end of the world. My friend Ed Bott wrote an article in Windows, Windows PC?
PC Mag, something.
Anyway,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Ed.
Sorry, Ed.
Ed Bott, Google him, you can find it. In which he said, no, you got it all wrong. Are you worried about Wi-Fi Sense?
I am not.
Okay.
There was a lot of FUD leading up to the release of Windows 10 about Wi-Fi Sense. It's complete FUD. Once I got it installed, I actually took a look at what it does. It is on by default.
If you take express settings, and by the way, don't do express settings because there's a lot of crap.
Yeah, exactly. I never do express settings.
Go step by step through those.
But even if it's on, it doesn't share by default. So you have to choose what networks you're going to share with. And even when you do share, what Krebs said was, well, what if you share with someone who broadcasts your password?
Right.
That's not really,
he doesn't get it.
No, that's not how it works. They don't get an email with your password.
They don't get your password at all.
It goes across an encrypted tunnel. Yeah. They get the hash on their computer, and now they can get access to your access point, which you can revoke at any time. So this would be great.
I think it's good.
It's great, yeah. Instead of giving people your password, they come over to your house, they ask for, they request access, you give it to them right after the party, you revoke it.
Right.
It's actually
I think
a really
it's a good idea. And by the way, it only works with Windows devices. So unless your friends have Windows 10 or a Windows Phone, you probably aren't right.
Then you still have to write it down.
Yeah. Robert Balasaire, the digital Jesuit. Be safe out there.
I will.
Going to Vegas.
I'm hoping to channel the spirit of Marty.
Please.
Would you ever like to go to Defcon? I think it'd be fun.
I would love to go to Defcon.
You and I.
It's kind of scary you're talking. It's like that Stephen King movie, Maximum Overdrive, where the trucks come to life.
Yeah.
With the guys hacking the cars.
Yeah. Killdozer.
Yeah. Actually, we already made that.
You did?
That was at Maker.
Host of Know-How, Coding 101, of course, this week at Enterprise Tech. Before you buy, I don't know, he hosts more shows than I do. Everything on the network. Mr. Robert Balasaire, Father Robert Balasaire. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to see you.
Oh, they love him. All right. We got a call for help. Do you like doing call for help?
I love it.
We were going to call it Call Me, and then we said, oh, screw it. It's time for a call for help. Copyright be damned. On the line, Matt from Charlotte, North Carolina. Hi, Matt.
Yo, hey, Marty. Great to see you guys. Love the show. Loved it since the old days.
Looks like you got a 3D printer behind you there.
Yeah, sure do. Just got the heated bed working the other day. Well, working. There's still a work in progress.
These are still kind of finicky, but what kind of stuff do you want to make with those?
Well, I'm actually patent pending on something, and I need to prototype it pretty quick. It's a control device.
Perfect for that, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm teaching myself because I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm teaching myself SketchUp to kind of make that So anyway, that's what.
Which one is that? I don't recognize.
That's the Simple Metal PrinterBot Simple Metal.
Nice.
And
you like it?
I love it. I actually did a talk with a bunch of teenagers on archaeology this summer at a like a camp kind of thing, and I printed a whole bunch of little tiny artifacts, and we made a little archaeological mound. Anyway, it was really neat.
And they dug them up and they brushed them off.
Cool.
That is cool. What
Yeah,
a great
exactly.
teacher. Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is, the printer bot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what can we do for you, Matt?
Okay, so like a lot of your viewers, I'm sure they all have an idea list, right? The things that you want to take and create and make. And you know, I've got a list that's full of ideas. Most of them are junk, but some of them I think are actually good. And this Christmas break, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make one of them. And so I didn't know anything, didn't know what I was doing, but wanted to make something real. So I started to design an app. I had to hire someone to do the actual coding because, you know, just no time to learn it. But made an app that is supposed to help you stay in budget and all that stuff, and for iOS. And it works. Like I use it, I go out and it's keeping us in budget. It's saving us money every month. My friends are using it. It's working, but you know, something's not working at the same time. Like, you know, the sales, they stuttered. I, you know, tried to market it. Nothing really happened. And I don't know, I'm in over my head. I don't know what I'm doing. So hoping you guys have some counsel, wisdom, and maybe somewhere to go, you know, for that kind of thing, or some from you guys to know what do I need to do to take this app to the next level.
All right, now when you say stay in budget, you mean stay in what budget?
Okay, so like when you go shopping, you know, a lot of people, you know, they have like, they say, okay, we can't spend more than $100. And so what you do in the app is you actually set in your sales tax for the store you're at. You set in your budget $100.
Okay, I got
then,
you. So you go to,
yeah.
this happens all this, right? You go
We
to,
gave Marty the app.
Yeah.
First of all, it's called Cart Estimate.
Yeah, cart estimate.
It's free. Oh no, it's 99 cents. Okay.
99 cents.
All right.
And
Think of
it's,
all the
you
money
know, because a lot of shopping apps, they do a lot. I wanted to do it simple and quick is the goal there. So it's like just a quick tally, like something's $3.50, you hit 111 50 cent, and then add it to your
Actually,
cart.
that's a great
so,
idea.
so it seems like a great idea
Thanks,
because
I think so.
we all go to Target, we go to these stores,
Yeah,
and
I
we
got
go
50
for one
bucks,
thing,
and I don't want
right?
to. Yeah.
We go for a pack of tube socks, and
Yeah.
then you grab a cart. You say, "Oh, I need that huge can of cheese balls,
Right.
and I need a couple of bottles
God,
of
yeah.
jugs of Carlo Rossi,
Heck yeah.
and, you know, I need this Made in Manhattan VHS." You start throwing all this stuff in there that you can't live without. By the time you got to checkout, you're up to $400, and you don't even have your tube socks because you forgot it.
Oh, Made in Manhattan, really?
It's a great film.
Okay.
It's a classic.
J-Lo.
Does J-Lo play a maid
So here's the
in Manhattan?
Yes.
Okay, I've not seen it. I just.
You need. Come on, Leo. It's a seminal film of our generation.
There
Look
it
at
is.
her. She's
Own it
glowing.
now.
She's glowing.
Well, fine. All right, here's the interface right here.
Yeah.
It is nice and simple. So you're going through, and every time you throw something in the cart, you see the price, and then so let's say it's $6.85. Walk me through how to do this. I'm gonna go
Okay, hit the 5,
at the 5.
hit the 1.
Up, see,
Whoop,
all
you
right,
did it
so I made a
twice.
mistake right
So-
there.
Now go to
because
the minus button up at the top there.
Okay,
Okay.
minus. Okay, and that
The
that
minus
takes you
button.
back. Wait a
Let's
minute.
now I
off
hit the
5.
5 again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're
Okay.
right.
Now
Now
go
the
back.
plus. Okay.
All right, now.
You can also shake it and start over for the item. But
Oh, that's a nice feature.
Okay, so now
Yeah.
I want $6.85, so I do $1. Now I'm
yep,
up to
and then
6,
just do a 50 cent and a 25 cent.
50 and 25 cents. But I wanted $6.85.
Yeah, it's
So-
an estimate.
It says estimate right there in the.
I
want-
understand that.
Do you want a closer estimate? Is that? I mean, I'm just.
No, this is good. By the way, I'm going to presume, Matt, you went through this kind of testing with test subjects first, right?
Yeah, but you know what? When you're doing it with your friends and your family,
Oh,
like,
they lie.
yeah, you know,
They lie,
you know,
right?
like, I'm like, come on, bring it on. But
No,
you
no.
know,
I told Marty before the show, he says, I don't want to be mean to this guy. I said, no. Matt wants to hear the truth because his mom won't tell him. You need to go to a stranger who knows something about this stuff and say, so what do you think? And maybe that's a mistake. He didn't do that.
yeah, probably. It's probably a lot I didn't do ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like have a marketing plan, or I do that.
Well, by the way, that's the other thing. And boy, there's nobody better to help you with this than Marty. He's the king of
Hey,
marketing.
that's true.
Yeah, right.
But
Write that copy.
no, you work at an ad agency. You know about this stuff, right?
No, he does.
Yeah.
he does.
Thank you.
Does this guy know you? Is you friends?
He is now.
He's selling you. He's the Don Draper of our generation. I think people don't know that.
We have many things in common. Probably good writing is not one of them.
Do you have whiskey in the office?
But not anymore.
That would be handy.
Not after this week.
So it looks like the user interface maybe.
Well, I
hope for more.
I think it wasn't intuitive to me right off the bat. I'm trying to figure out why wouldn't I just use a calculator first of all, and then I finally got it.
Because you can't put the tax in.
I understand. That's the killer app of this thing, right? You get the tax, so you put 9.5, which is like in San Francisco. So then when I add it to my cart, right?
Yeah, tap
which
it.
I just tap it like that. So then it computes the tax for me right away. $7.39. Yeah. That's good. And as I just keep throwing more and more stuff in there, it does it, and then I get an idea. And how close do you get when you finally get to checkout from the actual
You're
price?
worried about this estimate versus exact. Well, you got exactly $5.89 in
I don't
your pocket.
make your kind of money,
you don't want to go 1 cent over.
A big TV show.
I'm always within $1.
Okay.
And then
that makes sense.
Yeah. But again, I could go back and I can add lower buttons if that's what people want. Like
what should he do, Marty? Let's cut through this. What should he do?
I'm not sure he did anything wrong here. I think that it's pretty simple and it works if you get it within a very close price. I think it's just a really difficult thing for anyone, even if they design a terrific app, because there's how many apps are on the App Store now?
Several hundred million, aren't there? Something like that. Let me tell you a little story. A little story about a guy named Dong. And knowing you're thinking something else. But this is a guy, Dong Nguyen. No, Dong Draper. Dong Nguyen. He's a kid lives at home in Vietnam. Wrote a little program. He put it up on actually wrote a number of programs. Put it up on the App Store. Nothing happened for 6 months. Nobody bought it. He didn't sell it. He thought it was a great game. He actually, we think, went out, bought some positive reviews, maybe even bought some copies of the game to push it up the charts a little bit. All of a sudden, people discovered it, and Flappy Bird was born.
Flappy Bird.
So my point being, this guy for 6 months had Flappy Bird on the App Store and sold not one copy. And it was only until he got it up on the charts, people saw it. And then, of course, it's self-reinforcing, right? People buy it because they see it, they buy it, and it goes up the charts some more. And it became a huge hit. The guy actually, you remember, pulled the game off because he felt bad because people were losing their lives to this game. They couldn't stop playing. And we think he made millions and millions of dollars on it. This is not Flappy Bird.
No.
Okay, I'll say that first, right up front. When you put a game on iOS, it's got to look super slick. This doesn't look that slick, right? Not even a game, any app, right? I think you lose a little bit of points for that. The polish isn't there, right? That is a polished game right there. That is, and games are maybe a little bit different. That game went viral. I don't know if a shopping estimate app is ever going to go viral. No. And I think because it costs 99 cents, it's unlikely that people are going to even take a chance with it, right? Nobody's going to buy something if they're not sure it's something they need. You also felt like it wasn't clear.
For me, it wasn't clear. Of course, I'm an idiot.
Like what it does or how it works, you mean? Or?
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to figure out exactly how to get the right prices in, and then I was saying, okay, what if I entered in the wrong thing? How do I get rid of that? And it wasn't clear to me that I had to shake it in order to clear it. Why don't you put a clear button on there? People are used to, I think, the calculator format, maybe something a little bit close to that that's not a calculator.
Well, and you also make a point that for free, I've got a calculator that will do...
Right, but it's a little bit more...
Pretty much this.
A little bit more complicated, but if you know how to use a calculator...
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard, right. But I think you did a really smart thing in terms of your marketing, and that's call us and have us talk about it on your TV
everybody
show.
should go out and buy this. So marketing is key,
I think that you're brilliant.
Now, I notice you have 13 reviews on there. Are those from family and friends, or are those real reviews?
Some of them are real. A lot of them are family and friends.
I'll tell you what, okay, as a professional application reviewer, because I look at these all the time, I wrote off every one of those reviews because they're 5 stars. Right. It looks like family and friends. And in fact, that's exactly what I do reviews. When I see a lot of positive 5-star reviews for an app that looks a little bit, not great, I immediately write those off. So you got to be careful. You may fool Apple. By the way, Apple has strict policies against stuff like that. You might fool Apple, but I think most people are smart, and they're going to look at that and they're going, is that a 5-star app? Really? That's 13 5-star reviews? I'm a little suspicious.
I didn't tell them what to say.
Oh, yeah, but they love you. You know what, Matt? You're a great guy. They love you. You're creative. I think lesson learned here. I hope you didn't hope to make money on this.
No, I just want to throw it up there, see what happened, you know? I mean,
and I
everyone,
think,
you hope it's going to make money, but yeah.
I think you learned a lesson. First of all,
making something.
There's 100 million apps out there. Very hard, even with a brilliant app, to get above the noise. Second, it's got to be on an iOS especially. You might get away with that on Android, but on iOS, it's got to look sharp, right? It's got to look cool. It's got to look great. And third, UI had some issues, right? A little hard to understand.
It did.
A little difficult to figure out exactly even what it was for.
Right.
And then you have the problem of people are going to look at it and go, well, I can do that with a calculator. You're not really solving, this is a big one, by the way, on apps. You're not really solving a problem that needs to be solved. Maybe you thought it did, and certainly the best apps are designed by people who are scratching their own itch. It's not scratching my itch, though, I gotta tell you, and it sounds like it's not scratching yours.
No.
So we're gonna be really honest with you, Matt, and this is a lesson learned. Don't stop, right? Keep doing it, and learn these lessons, and the next time you go out, you're gonna do better. By the way, Dong, that wasn't his first app. That was like his 8th app, Flappy Bird. And none of the other ones went anywhere. So this is a tough nut to crack. It's hard to succeed.
Crappy Bird did nothing.
Crappy Bird. You know how many Flappy Bird clones there are on the App Store? There are hundreds, and they're all crappy.
Well, you got at least one, Sal, because I tried it out, and when I go to Beverages and More next time and start to fill a cart, I'm going to use your app.
You'll stay under budget. That's great, Martin. Thank you.
Matt, it's great to see you. Are you a teacher? Is that what you do for a living?
It was. Now I'm actually a...
Don't say app designer, because you're going to get...
No, I'm not a designer. No, I'm a video producer, corporate video producer.
Yeah, I kind of thought with the Rode mic and everything that... Do you even do a podcast, maybe? Something like that?
No,
right.
I don't do a podcast.
All right.
Usually behind the camera.
I hope we weren't too mean to you, Matt.
No,
not at all. I need this.
And when you make your next app, you're a video producer, make a little product video to promote it.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be good? You can't...
I mean, look what it did for a Dollar Shave store.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, not to bring up a competitor.
No, but that's a very good point. That one app made them go viral, or video made them go viral. Do you do that kind of video for your corporate clients?
It's really just one client. It's for the company. I do all their marketing videos and curriculums, but we haven't done anything quite that fun yet.
Nice to meet you, Matt. Thanks for joining us.
Great to meet you all. Thanks
How
a
would
lot.
you like us to tear you apart like we did, Matt? Here's how.
Need tech help? The new screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
Oh, you know, you mentioned that other guy. My friends, if you're going to get razors by mail, don't waste your time with that other guy. Go with the high-end product. This is Harry's.
These are amazing.
Have you used these?
No, these feel like a $200 shave.
You feel really clean shaved today. Did
I
you?
like that.
Did you?
Feel right there.
I got a little tip. You see I have a little cut on my lip? Do not shave while doing the hula. I swear to God, this morning, Lisa says, let me show you how to do the hula. And I'm going, what do you mean? She says, and I start doing that and I cut myself. So I have said for many a year, you cannot cut yourself with a Harry's blade. You know what? You can. They're sharp. But only if you're doing the hula. Harry's is a great place to get the best razor blades. And I can tell you why they're so good. They bought the factory. They actually did the work to find out where the best razor blades are made. Turns out it's 2 factories in Germany. They went and they took a look and they bought one. So they now specify to have the blades made sharp, precision, made to last, the best quality blades. And because they're selling them direct to you, they could sell them at half the drugstore price of those high-end blades. And it's a better blade. Start by going to harrys.com and getting a shave kit. This is the Winston. That's the nice metal handle. It's $25, but you get the handle. You get 3 blades. Now, this is very useful. I took this on our trip. This is a little blade cover so you don't cut yourself when you put your blade in your DOP kit there. And you can choose from the Harry's Shave Cream or the foaming shave gel, which smells
May I?
Would you like to spray that? That's actually, you know what? Here, this is shaving cream. Unless you want to shave.
To smell it.
Oh, yeah, but no, this is, they also sell this, the aftershave lotion. Oh, okay. Why don't you put that on? When you go home, Molly's going to be all up and down your sides there. Or something. I don't know what the kids say today. So, if you go to harrys.com right now, yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's cool and refreshing.
Ooh, refreshing.
If you go to harrys.com right now, and you can get $5 off any kit. I mentioned the Winston. Here's the Truman. A lot of people like the Truman. That's $15. You get a same thing, a handle, 3 blades, the foaming shave gel or the cream, your choice. You also get the blade cover. This is a great deal, and with $5 off, now we're talking $10 to get yourself started. And then you'll subscribe to get the, you don't have to, but I would suggest subscribing to get the blades by mail. I never run out of blades, and frankly, because I get them on subscription, I change them more often, and that way I get cut less. Harry's, it's the best. Harrys.com. Use the offer code NSS, and you will get, are you going to spritz yourself, or are you just holding it?
I've already spritzed.
You will get $5 off your first order. Harry's. Hey.
Harry's. You can have a cherubic face like Leah.
Yes, cherubic. I am closely shaved. I know. For an old man, it's pretty good. You don't want to be that guy who, you know, you shave, but there's little patches of gray coming out on your beard. That's not good. You don't want that. Never has that.
That's creepy.
Have that problem with Harry's.
Not going to get you anywhere in life.
Miriam Jouar is here. She's going to talk about the new Motorola phones. She's got them. We're going to talk about them, but first, Frederick Van Johnson, he wants you to start a photography project. Frederick?
Hi, my name is Frederick Van Johnson from This Week in Photo. You can find us at thisweekinphoto.com. This tip is about how to start refining your photography. One of the easiest ways to start refining your photography is to give yourself projects. You know, a lot of people they get these awesome cameras or phones or whatever, and they go out and they wander around the city and they're like, you know, I'm going to go get some good pictures, and they come back with nothing. But if you give yourself a project, whether it be, you know, I'm going to go out and take pictures of red doors, or I'm going to take pictures of people with red shoes, or whatever. Just give yourself something specific and aim for that when you go out. You'll come back and you'll have a much tighter portfolio in the end. And that's my tip.
That's Frederick Van Johnson, one of our favorite photographers. He'll be back to do more photography segments on the show because we really love him. Speaking of somebody who's back a lot, Miriam Jouar is here. She's a regular and all about Android and is really our expert, formerly at Engadget, an expert on mobile phones.
Thank you.
And this, all of a sudden,
it's like mid-July, they get antsy and they launch all the phones.
Yeah. You know, I'm guessing they're trying to do it before the next iPhone.
Yes, especially the Note, which will be launching on the 13th of August in New York City.
Samsung's having a big event, and we'll cover that live, actually, on the show. That's going to be the Note 5?
As far as I know, the Note 5 and the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, which will basically be a Note 5 with the Edge curved display without the silo and the pen.
I have an S6. I love the camera. I love the phone. I know you're an LG G4 lover.
I love the S6 as well.
Yeah. I feel like both phones suffer a little bit because of the skins they've put on them.
Yes, for sure.
It's Lollipop.
It's getting lighter, but it's still touch with, and it still feels icky.
It hesitates. It does. So is there a choice for me if I don't want kind of all of that cruft?
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. The Motorola
no, it's
phones
not. I see the phone right here. I thought I'd
were
bring that
announced. Nice segue.
It's not that funny.
There were actually 4 phones announced this week that all run pretty much straight up Android.
And I love that.
Any skinning or very light skinning, very small customization.
We loved, I think you loved the original Moto X.
Yes.
Because it was so pure. It was owned by Google at the time.
I think what I liked about the original Moto X was the size.
Yeah.
I wasn't that impressed with the specs in terms of...
No, it wasn't a high-end
in terms of specs, I actually like the second-gen Moto X better. And I like bigger phones, so I was happier. But I think the original Moto X had something going for the size.
4.7 inches.
Correct.
This is the new Moto G. Now,
so this is the third gen.
This also is a third gen. And this was always their low-priced leader. This was the phone Well, $200.
So let's quickly go over them. First gen had a 4.5-inch display with a really kind of meh 5-megapixel camera.
Yeah.
Second gen had a 5-inch display, same as this, with a much better 8-megapixel camera. This is the same display, again 5-inch 720p, but this time with a 13-megapixel camera. All three have had the same processor, Snapdragon 400 quad-core. This is one of the best processors you can put on a kind of mid-range phone today. Super high performance, doesn't feel
So it doesn't feel
sluggish.
laggy.
Doesn't feel laggy.
But battery life's got to be great.
Battery life is good. It's only when you start playing games and you notice it's not quite up to the flagship level, you know?
The interesting thing to me is this camera is the same camera they put on the Nexus 6, which is a flagship phone.
Yeah, but without OIS.
And you're a big fan of the optical image
It's
stabilization.
very important if you want to take pictures in low light,
Right.
especially like things like landscapes and stuff where there's no motion.
Hard to hold a camera steady.
Correct.
Without optical
But you know,
image
it's a very
stabilization.
expensive bit of hardware to put in there.
Right.
So you'll never really see this on mid-range and low-end phones.
With a 13-megapixel camera, that's a pretty good camera.
So if you look in the picture gallery, actually.
Right.
So
Oh, that looks good.
So here's we have the San
Look at the depth
Pellegrino.
of field on that.
Look at the detail here. Now, I'll be honest, it took me a few times to get the shot because I was really about as close as I could get in terms of macro performance
Right.
on the lens. But check out these other shots. This is 3 times digital zoom.
I think,
And
what?
Yes,
That's excellent.
And I manually set the exposure so it wasn't too bright because it was trying to blow it away.
And you were able to do that.
And look, I manually set the exposure on this shot, and if you look out there, this is actually the same view as what we're seeing from our desk right now.
Is that
It's
the
very
stock
accurate.
Lollipop camera?
Correct. No, that's the Motorola app.
They have their own app.
Now, this is what it looks like. This is what it like when it sets the exposure manual by itself. So it's
Right.
trying to blow things up a bit.
Right.
And here's a 4 times zoom.
That's remarkable.
It is a bit overblown, but that's fully auto.
For a $200 phone, that's pretty good.
100 and whatever it is, 89 or something. Yeah.
Now, there's two models. There's a 1 GB RAM model with a mere 8 gigs of storage. That seems a little low.
I wouldn't get that one. Really, you know, spend the little extra buck. This is 2 gigs and 16
you know,
gigs.
I bought this. It's 8 gigs of storage and it's 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of storage,
16
and 2
and
gigs
8,
of
yeah.
RAM. And that for $250, I'm
a bit less
pretty
than
happy.
that, but it's amazing.
I am pretty happy.
It's amazing.
I just ordered it, and the thing I'm looking forward to, 720p. The Snapdragon 410, I'm thinking battery life should be pretty darn good on this.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of really pushed it hard for the last hour or two, and it's, you know, it's already down to 85%.
You haven't had it long enough for us
but
to
I've
know.
set it up.
Right.
For the last hour, and it's
Right.
been, you know, pulling all my apps over Wi-Fi and everything.
Is this stock Lollipop?
It is almost stock. You know, it has some of those Moto customizations.
Can I do this?
Yeah, you can do this.
Oh, I
There
love
you go.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I talk to the phones? Can I say, okay, Moto? What do you say?
It's okay, Google.
Okay, Google? Oh, it did. It worked.
There you go.
So it's always listening.
Yeah.
That could hurt the battery life, I know, but...
It does have some of those Moto lock screen things, you know, where...
no, even though this is not an OLED display, I can do the...
Well, no, but it does have the thing where it'll show you the little icons and things. Not permanently on where you just hover your hand
you can't
over
do
it.
that.
No,
okay.
it doesn't have that.
Well, the old Gs weren't able to do that
But
either.
look,
'cause
the
that takes
reality
extra
is here is
stuff.
you're getting kind of like the best possible Lollipop experience
Right.
at that price point, in my opinion.
And for the first time, Moto Maker as well, so you can customize this. I got a red back with yellow accents.
Right. I didn't have a choice. It's a press unit, so
Yeah.
it just came. I think it's maybe a dark blue navy. I'm not sure if it's navy or black in the back. I
It
can't
looks like
tell.
black to me,
It looks like
but,
black,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, they're going to give you the most neutral kind of...
Shall we talk about the X's?
Yeah, so this isn't the only phone they announced. This is the first one that's available.
go, look.
Yeah, I love that. I miss my Moto X. This feels to me like very much like the first generation Moto X, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
With a
Yeah.
better camera.
Yeah.
They also announced 2 new X's for
Right,
2015.
which surprised everybody because we were like, what? We didn't think they were going to do 2 X's.
Yeah, but if you looked at the invitation that was supposed to be XOX, it really looked like XGX, like
yeah.
2 X's and a G, and it was.
It was. Let's talk about them. So there's a Moto X Play and a Moto X Style.
Okay.
Let's start with the Style. That's kind of what we were expecting, like a really high-end kind of a flagship type phone. What I didn't expect was 5.7-inch. We're talking Note 4 size
That's
phone.
huge.
And the Note 4 doesn't feel that big because it has very little bezel, but this thing has a lot more bezel. This is almost as big as a Nexus 6 from the side-by-side photos I saw.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little crazy because the Moto X has always been a reasonably sized phone. And you're going to say, well, what about the Play? Well, the Play is 5.5 inches, barely smaller.
Right.
So they've gone
and not available in the U.S.
On top of that.
Yeah.
So they've gone all out on size, which I don't really think was a good idea for the X. I think that the X should have been like a 5.2 continued like last year, and then they made some mistakes. For a flagship, they didn't put OIS on it. Yeah. They have this 21 meg. Nobody cares about the number of pixels. Remember the M9?
The M9 is 21 megapixels.
No OIS,
terrible
and
camera.
it's not that great.
Terrible camera.
And by the way, I'm pretty sure it's the same camera model you saw on the Droid Turbo last year, so it's not a new model.
Oh, I have that. It's not a great camera.
Exactly.
I actually think that of the Moto announcements, this is the phone.
Absolutely.
And at that price, I've recommended this to family and friends.
Now let's talk about the price of the Moto X Style. It is $400 for a flagship.
That is very affordable.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And it's going to come in the US as a Moto Style Pure Edition, which will be completely unlocked, and you can put on any of the 4 carriers.
The other low-priced flagship phone last year was the OnePlus One. I loved it. OnePlus announced in a virtual reality press conference.
Did you watch that?
I didn't.
I heard it was
the OnePlus
terrible.
2, was it? You were there.
No, I was there in person, so I couldn't really do the VR.
So it was actually real VR.
For me, it was real.
You could look around and everything.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So it's a kind of a mixed bag, frankly. I mean, OnePlus has always kind of positioned itself as we're going to make a flagship type phone, like not quite 100% flagship, but 90% flagship, and sell it for like $300 to $400. And everybody wants that. Everybody wants a great phone with flagship level specs for that price point. And I think the OnePlus One delivered that. It was basically a Nexus kind of level phone.
And I like Cyanogen Mod. It was the phone of the year, in my opinion, 2014.
Yeah. So they split up with Cyanogen. They had like a breakup, and then they went with the new OS called Oxygen, which is
very
fine,
pure,
right? And honestly, the OnePlus One today is still very competitive, I think, other than the camera.
Right.
Really, to me.
Not a great camera.
And so the OnePlus 2, we had a lot of expectations, primarily around the camera. And then we were thinking that they would potentially try to compete with the flagships, but keep the price low. And the reality is this. So let me just go through the pros and cons real quick. Like do a BYB before you buy. Pros and cons. So
BYB.
What I liked was
it has bread.
It is beautifully made. It is made of a machined aluminum or alloy on the edges, just like the Note 4. You know, with a removable, peelable battery cover in the back.
That's nice.
And
so
you can have different covers.
Yeah.
And then what else do I like about it? It has a slider on the side, like where the volume rocker is on the original OnePlus, that lets you select which level of notifications you want.
I like that. I miss that.
Priority or on.
Yeah, the iPhone has that sort of, and I miss it on my BlackBerry. A physical on-off switch is great.
It's fantastic. I use it for a few hours on my own account. It let me filter stuff right there on the spot by just reaching in my pocket. It's
much
fantastic.
easier. Yeah.
The other thing it has that's great is a fingerprint scanner, and you're going to say, oh, we've seen that in the GS6 and the iPhone, but here's what they've done. They've combined the best of both. So they have the speed of the GS6 sensor, but the accuracy of the iPhone sensor all in one.
I saw some videos.
It is
very
super fast.
Yeah.
And you don't have to care about which orientation when you set your thing. You just keep tapping the button and off you go. It's amazing.
I feel like all phones should start coming with fingerprint readers pretty soon.
And then finally,
this is a thing
the last Pro is $389 for a 64 gigabyte phone. You know, which is pretty amazing for, you know, it's pretty much what OnePlus is known for.
Are there any cons?
The cons are as follows. The one that everybody's mind is completely blown by, because if you're going to make a flagship killer, which is what they say, and you're not going to make any compromise, which is also one of their slogans, right?
Never settle.
Never settle. They have no NFC on this phone. And now you're going to say you probably don't use NFC, maybe, but NFC is going to become critical for Google Pay. And they have the fingerprint reader. So
they're so close.
It's so close. Yeah. So if you want a good Google Pay experience, a fingerprint reader and NFC would be the way to go. So no NFC for whatever reason. And then Carl Pei said himself in person, the CEO of OnePlus, to me, that he didn't think wireless charging was a good experience.
He took wireless out.
They took it out on purpose. They didn't want it. No fast charge on the USB Type-C port.
I like the Type-C, and that has some real capabilities, but not...
I think that's something that's just a firmware thing. I think we're going to see fast charge on that phone because the G4 started out without fast charge. They got a firmware update and they have it. And then finally, the thing that is a bit disappointing, but you know, when you consider they have to meet a price point, I think it makes sense, is the display is only 1080p.
It's actually the same display as
it
the
is actually a
slightly
slightly better display. It's brighter,
Okay.
has better color rendition, better viewing angles.
But same size.
I'll be honest, it's one of the best IPS panels I've ever seen. So they've really put the money into the quality, but not the resolution. And I think to do Quad HD, 2K is expensive.
There's one more thing I have to bring up with the OnePlus in general is, while some people have good experiences in tech support, if you have a phone that goes bad, it's pretty hard to get it replaced. They're in China. They aren't very responsive. I've heard a lot of horror stories about OnePlus.
Me too, but I think the biggest concern I have, honestly, is their marketing strategy right now. I think that they
still invites.
It still invites, and then the other thing is this attitude of we decided that, well, we asked our customers, supposedly, but you know how I feel about focus groups.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't do focus groups. They know exactly what to do.
Right.
So when they said we don't think wireless charging is a good experience, every journalist that was around me at the time was like, what the right? Because
it's a good
they're
experience
like,
for me.
We love it,
Yeah.
right? And it's not going to replace fast charge. Fast charge is the ultimate.
I think you need both.
You need both, exactly.
Now,
the GS6 has both.
The OnePlus One has such a good battery, and I presume this phone will have a similar.
3,300 milliamp hours.
It's 10% bigger, yeah.
You can't remove it though. There's no micro SD either.
Oh.
So it's just dual SIM in the back. That's it. You peel the cover and you can't change anything, but there's a little tray for dual SIM. That's it.
You know what's interesting about this Moto G? You can actually put a 32 gig SD card in.
Isn't it great?
You have to. With 16 gig storage, you need an extra.
I know.
32
but I mean,
gigs.
for the, it's
this
so cheap.
Is the phone.
It's so cheap. It's just, honestly, of the four, this is the one.
And this is waterproof.
And it's waterproof.
You can let it fall in the toilet and
now,
stay there for an hour.
One thing I've already noticed. I've already taken the cover off a few times, and you did too. And see that part? Yeah. If you don't do that, it's not going to be waterproof.
You got to press it down.
So you got to remember to
make sure the cover's really on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's interchangeable. That's
correct.
Nice too. Yeah.
And that's one of the nice things. So I think, don't get me wrong. I think the OnePlus 2 is going to be a buy probably because for the price, you're still getting a Snapdragon 810, 4 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, wow.
They claim they have a new generation Snapdragon 810 that won't have the problem.
Again, I'm not sure about that because
that's been a
when
problematic
I held
chip.
it and took photos and played games, it was hot.
Yeah.
It was no less hot than the M9.
I think we may have made a mistake on that 810.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. That's it for the 4 phones this week.
Miriam Jouar will be back with Before You Buy reviews of all of those phones.
Yes.
As soon as she can get them.
Another one is the ZTE Axon that was announced a while, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'll have that soon, so we'll be able to review that Before You Buy along with this guy.
I should have my G next week so we can have dueling reviews.
Perfecto.
I think this is, maybe not for somebody who needs the highest end stuff, but for the average Joe on the street, $200, $250.
You can't go wrong with this phone. If you want a fantastic Android experience and you don't want to spend the money on some crazy GS6 or G4, this is going to carry on for 2 years, no problem.
I think I'm going to replace my GS6 with this.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anybody. Thank you, Miriam.
You're very welcome.
Remember Bill Nye?
Oh,
He's
the
still
science
around.
guy.
He's great. The science guy taught millions science with his wacky show and his bow ties. Coming up, we're going to meet one of the directors behind a new Bill Nye film. And remember last week we talked about the Cascadia subduction zone with Quake expert Julian Lozos. Here's his advice, something we didn't talk about, for what to do before and after a quake. Julian?
Hi, my name is Julian Lozos. I am at Seismogenic on Twitter, and these are my tips for earthquake preparedness. Before the earthquake, you'll want to make sure you have an earthquake kit with 3 days of food and water for everyone in your family, including your pets. And you'll also want to make sure you have battery-operated devices like a radio and a flashlight. And you also want to make sure that you have a plan to meet up with everyone important after any earthquake that might happen. During the earthquake, you want to drop cover and hold on to something steady. If you don't hold on, it'll shake away and something could fall on you. Don't get on the doorway unless you like getting hit with the door. After the earthquake, you'll want to turn off all of your gas and electricity to avoid anything that could start a fire, and then follow those plans that you set to keep in touch with everyone afterwards. It's best to use text messages rather than phone calls in order to coordinate because that will clog the lines less. For other tips like this, you'll want to check out earthquakecountrylliance.org. They have much more detail, and also shakeout.org.
Thank you, Julian. Julian's a doctorate student with the U.S. Geological Survey and Stanford, and boy, he was great. We'll get him back to talk more about earthquakes on the show. Coming up in just a little bit, a second call for help, alternatives to Windows Movie Maker for people who are upgrading to Windows 10. And we're going to go drone racing, but first, let's talk to Jason Sussberg. He's the producer and director of a new film about the science guy, Bill Nye. Hello, how are you, Jason? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I was always a big fan of screensavers back in the early aughts, so it's an honor to be on.
Well, you know, if you ever wanted to do a biopic about somebody who had some influence on many people as a young man, you might want to talk to Martin Sargent.
Sitting right here. I'm available, Jason.
Hey, I think a lot of us grew up with Bill Nye, and Bill Nye did something I think is really important, which is
What?
They're still laughing. He did something which is really important, which is get us excited about science. Why did you pick Bill Nye for this film?
Yeah, for that very reason. I mean, he's electric. He's a great personality. But more importantly, what he's doing now is he's on this like quest to change the world with science. And that involves him like launching a solar satellite into outer space, and he's fighting climate change. So, you know, he was relevant in the 90s because he was the real reason we're doing this film is because what he's doing now is very fascinating and is actually going to, you know, hopefully change the world through his advocacy. So, you know, our focus is about the past, but it's also what he's doing now.
Is it just a biopic, or is there a story to it? Is there a story arc? What's going to happen throughout the film?
Does Bill Nye, for instance, does he like have great success, then get involved with drugs and women and crashes and lives on the street, and then all of a sudden is rediscovered by a record producer? And oh no, wait a minute, that's behind this music. I think that's the wrong. There's no downside to Bill Nye. I don't think.
You know, I mean, so just to clarify, it's not a biopic. A biopic, I guess, would be considered like a fiction. This is a documentary about what he's actually doing in his life. And, you know, yes, people do love him, but he's also a figure of much derision on the right because of his stance on global warming. He's also drawing a lot of criticism because of his support of GMOs recently. This is not going to be, you know, a kiss-ass hagiography. We are definitely going to, you know, take a look at the man behind the bow tie. Warts and all, he's given us full access.
Oh, that's
he trusts
nice.
us. So you know, we have no intention of making a propaganda piece. We're gonna investigate, you know, who he really is, and most of it's positive. Obviously, he's an amazing figure, but we have creative control. We can do whatever we want, and we intend to, you know, make the most honest portrait possible.
That sounds great. I see you're raising money on Kickstarter to do this. You're darn close to your goal. What did you want to raise?
Yeah, so we are, I mean, honestly, a couple days ago, it was really bleak. We were around like 200,000. We couldn't figure out what was going on, but the last couple days, it's really exploded. Our goal is $650,000. We're $250,000 away from that. And the reason that's so high is because that's the entire budget. We are not piecemealing this. We're not going through a combination of grants and corporate sponsorships, or investments. We're doing the entire thing on a crowdfunding platform. So we're trying to be completely transparent about how much money that we're trying to raise, and 650 is the digit.
You're very close. 12 days to go as we record this. I want everybody to go to Kickstarter, search for Bill Nye, because I think you're right. I think a biopic's one thing, but I think what Bill's doing now is so interesting and so important. And I see that you named the film Change the World. How far along are you?
Well, we started production in November of last year, and we're still, you know, these stories, they don't necessarily go as planned. Like, we had an idea that we'd be, you know, sort of wrapping up production, heading into post-production, but we're really just getting started. So this could take, you know, two or 3 years longer, hopefully more like 2 years longer. But yeah, we've been in production. But the big stuff that's actually going to happen is next year when he's launching Light Sail, which is a solar satellite that is that basically runs on sunlight. And so this is happening next year. And then also his climate change book is coming out next year. Sorry, this fall, where he's going to go on a climate change tour to raise awareness for it. So he's just now taking off on his journey. So we will see what happens.
Now, I'm sure you'll address this in the film, but he's actually not a trained scientist.
Right. That's another like sort of area of interest that we plan to go into, is that a lot of people are suspicious of it or suspicious of him and his authority because he's just a mechanical engineer. But you know, I personally think that's silly. He's not like Bill Nye the scientist. He's Bill Nye the science guy.
Right.
You can be a science advocate and a science enthusiast without necessarily being a scientist. But you know, he's so curious. He's such a smart guy that he probably has multiple PhDs worth of knowledge inside of, you know, his brain. So even though he's not a trained scientist, doesn't make him any less capable of understanding, the science of climate change or the science of launching a solar sail into outer space.
No, and I think sometimes being a spokesperson is a different job, and it's an important job when you're talking about these kind of important changes in our society. And you need somebody who can communicate well, who understands but can communicate well. And let's face it, there aren't a million Carl Sagans out there, right?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
right.
exciting. So you feel if you didn't raise the money, would you be able to continue, or would you have to just stop where you are?
Continue life or continue the movie?
Yeah, would you just end your life? No, continue the movie, obviously.
No, I mean, yeah, look, there is no contingency plan. We're going all or nothing. That's the whole Kickstarter model. Honestly, we don't really have a plan B. There's no safety net. We're not going to go sell the movie to broadcasters. We're not going to go to HBO, we're not going to go to, sort of corporate sponsorship route or write grants. We're sort of hoping that the community rallies because they want to see an independent documentary that's entirely crowdfunded. If this is successful, this will be the highest ever documentary ever crowdfunded on Kickstarter. So we're kind of laying it all on the line. So there is no plan B. So let's fund this thing, or I don't know what'll happen.
Oh my God!
That's grim. We're just taking a look at your incentives. I mean, other than you making a great movie, there's some amazing incentives on there. What particularly caught my eye was the flask.
Right. I mean, look, Bill Nye's fans have grown up. They're not 13 years old anymore.
A science flask.
Does Bill Nye carry a flask?
No, he loves his gin and tonics. Don't get me wrong.
Who doesn't?
Felix.
Is that the alcohol molecule on that flask? What is that?
Yes, it is. That is the ethanol alcohol molecule, and we have a coffee mug that has the caffeine molecule on there.
I want that. I want them both. Oh,
well,
only $50? That's nothing. That's
Everybody
nothing.
should.
And do you get the Blu-ray? Do you get the Blu-ray of the movie if you donate $50 as well?
Actually, you get it's an add-on for $47. So if you buy something, you can add on a Blu-ray for $47.
Yeah, I want the movie too. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have the movie while you have the flask. You need to watch something while you drink.
Kickstarter.com. There's just a few more days. You are so close. It would be a great tragedy not to put you over the top right now. 8,000 people love Bill Nye and want to see this movie. Why don't you go on there and back that project? You could give them just a few bucks, or whatever you can afford. But if we can get a little bit closer to the total, and who knows, maybe we'll actually be able to help you put it over the top. I'd love to do that. That'd be great.
That'd be wonderful.
Kickstarter.com, search for Bill Nye. Jason, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Jason Sussberg, producer-director of Changed the World with Bill Nye, the science guy.
I think he's going to make it. Did you see his other documentary, The Immortalists?
No. Have you?
I started to watch it last night. I didn't get all the way through, but it's fascinating. It's about Aubrey de Grey and the guys who are, through science, trying to live forever.
Oh, yeah. I know. Aubrey de Grey is one of those guys.
Aubrey de Grey.
Yeah,
with the big beard from Cambridge.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to watch that. That sounds great. Is that on Netflix?
Yes, it's available on Netflix.
Great. It's time for, let's see, a little tip from Alex Wilhelm and another call for help as the new Screensavers continues.
Hey everyone, it's Alex Wilhelm from TechCrunch.com here, and we're here to talk a little bit about why email is terrible and Twitter is awesome. Now, we all hate email and we all tweet all the time, so how do you really take a look at the news without email? Well, what I do is I have a constant monitor, 30 inches of Apple screen, running TweetDeck, a bunch of columns, a lot of DMs. It's a fantastic way to keep plugged into what's going on now, still talk about your own stuff, and avoid your terrible inbox. So do me a favor, take 1 week, don't read email, just tweet, and let me know how it goes.
Great advice, Alex Wilhelm. We loved having him on the Twit last week. He's going to be back, I promise you. He was a lot of fun. Now, time for a call for help. I hope you know the answer to this one, Marty, because I do not. Adam is on the line from Salt Lake City, Utah. Hello, Adam.
Hey, Leo. You know, it's just one thing real quick is it's nice to see those transistor radios sitting nice there and comfy.
I could tell you like antiques because it looks like you have a PlayStation Portable behind you, a PSP.
And a Game Gear.
Is that a Game Gear to the left of that? Oh, my.
Oh, yeah.
And there's all the games, too, on the shelf. Do you still use that?
Oh, yeah, it still works.
Oh, so it's not merely decoration.
No.
Much like this Zephyr 9 transistor radio is not just decoration. I listen to this every single day.
The original iPod.
Can you believe that? Isn't that funny? Yeah, somebody sent me that.
And then we have these.
What is that? Oh, my God. Speaking of old timers, holy
You still have
cow.
it signed.
Oh, now, did you come into the studio to do that? When'd you get that signed?
I got it on Amazon for $4.
$4? Just $4.
400.
Good.
400. Oh, that's much better. Really? Somebody sold an autographed copy of that for $4. Boy, you oughta. So what can we do for you?
Well, I upgraded to Windows 10, and I edit just from my YouTube channel, just simple stuff, transitions, background music, something like that. And they took out Windows Movie Maker on my Windows 10. I can't find it in the App Store. It's not on my computer or anything.
No.
And
Windows Movie Maker is not available in Windows 10. Applies to Windows 10. Windows Movie Maker, I'm reading this, is not available for Windows 10. To find an app for creating and editing video, visit the Windows Store. Did you visit the Windows Store?
Yes.
Did you find an app for creating and editing video?
I found an app to how to use Windows Movie Maker.
Thanks, Microsoft. You know, they also killed Windows Media Center. They're making people a little irate over this. Of course, when people ask me this stuff, I always say, spend some money, go out, get Adobe Premiere Elements for under $100. It's a great editor. Sony Vegas. There are choices, but you want to spend $0.
Yeah, I'm on kind of a fixed income sort of thing. Like iSkysoft looks kind of like exactly what I'm looking for.
iSkysoft.
It's $40.
Have you found any? Have you tried any of the free video editing?
I tried some Lightworks, something called EasyVid, and a couple.
I like Lightworks, but you know the problem with Lightworks, it's open source, and it's clunky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it probably does more than you really want it to do. You don't need much.
No, I'm not looking to make a movie.
Yeah. So we found this page. This is the iSkysoft page that lets you put Windows Movie Maker on Windows 10. Did you try that out?
No, I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, this is not, of course, something Microsoft's going to tell you about. This is something we call a side load. But in fact, you're still getting it from Microsoft. So it's not like you're getting it from some, Russian hacker in Budapest. I don't know why he's in Budapest. So this on
vacation.
Yeah, he's probably on vacation. So this is, I don't know. This is probably the best alternative, which is to try to get that to work. That's, I guess, an ad for their own software. Did you find any other? We wanted to suggest people go to Alternative 2. Have you ever tried that site, Alternative 2?
No, I haven't.
Go ahead and go there because that is a place where you can say, I need an alternative to, in this case, Windows Movie Maker, and they will suggest alternatives and probably give you a better selection of alternatives than Marty or I can give you. Maybe let's ask the chat room if they have any suggestions for free video editors. Apparently Videoland, the folks who do VLC, are working on something called VLMC, which will be a free open source video editor for them. You can get, this is interesting. This is Padre's tip. Get Adobe Creative Suite 2, which is really old. They've turned off the authentication server. It's that old. So that means it works even if you don't have a serial number. Avid makes a version of its very professional program, the Media Composer. They make a kind of like My First Media Composer, which is designed to kind of get you into Media Composer, which is what actually would be a good thing to learn. It's what the pros learn. What's your YouTube channel?
Gen to Gen. It's GEN, number 2, and then GEN.
And what do you do on that?
I just blab in front of a camera like this.
God, no, but people, there's no way to make money just standing in front of a camera blabbing. Right, Marty?
No,
You can't make a living doing that. What are you, nuts?
I tried to for years, but it didn't work.
Maybe Marty should just make a list.
If we had a twisted list. The other thing, it sounds like really, it's mostly just chopping, right? Like cutting the music, things like that?
Yeah, just add music in the background, a couple simple transitions, nothing special.
Yeah, I think
there's a lot of alternatives.
even VLC will do a little bit of that.
You try easy, you didn't like
I've
that.
tried the
Video
YouTube, but it's a
pad,
little
perhaps,
really
is another simple one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to keep the chat room running and see if they can come up with some solutions for you. But we've given you about 5 there to try. And I know the real reason you came on is to tell everybody about how much fun it is to make no money talking in front of a camera.
But I don't want any money.
Shut up! Don't say that.
How many views?
That'll ruin it for all of us.
How many people are watching you say nothing, and how many
You
views
get
are you
get
getting?
a good subscriber base?
A total of 300.
That's not bad.
300 isn't bad.
And do you talk about, you know, I think it's a good idea to kind of pick something that you're really big on, right?
Oh yeah, it's just gaming and stuff. I do it out of fun.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who's a game developer in New York. He sometimes does videos from New York.
So alternative2.net, if you enter Windows Movie Maker, you can even say, I don't want to pay a penny. You can check that box. I think they will give you some solutions.
Okay.
All right? Hey, good luck, Adam. It's Gen, G-E-N.
And the number 2 and then...
G-E-N.
Right.
On YouTube.
I'm going to check it out. You've kept me entertained for about 5 minutes.
That was pretty entertaining, right?
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And, you know, you could... We've also found one here. It says Jashashka. Jashaka. Jashaka. If you can't say it, it's probably really good, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like something my Russian in-laws would say.
Yeah, Jashaka. Oh, you know that Russian hacker in Bulgaria?
No.
Give him my best. They're
Already.
Hey, we'd like to get, thank you, it's good to talk to you. We'd like to get you on the show too. All you got to do is email us. Watch.
Need tech help? The new screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
They are racing at over 80 miles an hour. They are drones. We're going to talk with the man who started the first ever United States National Drone Racing Championships. But first, we're excited. We've even got some drones to show. But first, a word from our sponsor, the folks at Braintree. If you're a mobile app developer, you want to have payments. See, our Matt could have done that. He could have just said, this is free, and then put a little in-app purchase. And just think of how much money you could make. If you want mobile payments, though, it's really critical. You got to make it easy for your customers. Did you know 70% of shopping carts are abandoned before people buy? 70%! Braintree solves that problem by making your shopping cart elegant, easy, reliable, and gives people safe peace of mind because it's secure. They're going to recognize it. They're going to be paying with things they already know, like Apple Pay or PayPal or Bitcoin even, or Venmo. Of course, they can use their credit card. And it's easy for you as the developer. The V.0 SDK means just a few lines of code, and all of a sudden your app has mobile payments built in. Fast payouts, secure service. Braintree's there for your first dollar to your billionth dollar. They've been there for some of the biggest companies in the world. In fact, Airbnb uses Braintree in their app. Uber uses their Braintree in their app. So does Lyft. So does GitHub. So does StubHub. You could try it for free. And if you go through that URL, BraintreePayments.com/NSS, Braintree says your first $50,000 in transactions will be fee-free. And that's pretty nice for a startup. That's a great way to get started. BraintreePayments.com/NSS. There's a sandbox there where you can try it before you buy. BraintreePayments.com/NSS. Give it a try today. All right, we are ready to take a look at some drone action. We've got a drone racer, Scott Refsland. He is a PhD in?
Virtual reality.
You can get a doctorate in that?
You can.
No, where'd you?
Believe it or not.
That is awesome. So, like, you're a doctor of virtual reality?
Correct.
That's better than Doctor Who. Padre's going to join me on this because he is the drone father.
He is.
We call him
We're going to
that.
convert him to the pod father here as soon as you get to pod racing.
Pod racing, you can do that too?
Yes,
oh,
we
nice.
can.
So these are these racing drones?
Well, you can race them all.
Okay.
Some of them are, and some of them are just consumer off the shelf. Some of them are yours.
Some of them are mine, right? These are a nice assortment of the things that you might find on a track.
Okay. Now, you call it FPV racing, first-person view. What does that mean?
Correct. So typically in the past, traditional RC modeling is an airplane. You would fly it by line of sight. So
yeah,
I'm
looking at it. Yeah.
Yep. Well, this one actually has a camera that's in the front of the rig. So you actually pilot it as if you're sitting in the aircraft itself. So it's now we're in NASCAR.
That might be quite an experience.
It is.
But I can see you might also need it because what do the tracks look like? Are they round? Or what are they? How do you race them? Are they straightaways?
This is the brand new thing. There's varying differences of all the tracks. There's everything that's from rotorcross, which is fast and furious through trees and long getaways, to racing down golf courses, to a very controlled track, which is what we had at the Nationals.
So you do need to see where you're going.
Absolutely, yes.
So line of sight's not going to work if you're going to do these.
No.
And oh, look at these guys! Holy, that's the view you would see as the driver.
That's correct. So this is one of our fastest pilots. This is Chad Nowak, who is the current U.S. national champion. He's actually an Australian, and so we had, this is the Drone Nationals last week at Sacramento.
This is the first time you've done this, right? Sacramento?
This is the first time we've done a very large-scale FPV race.
Nice. I'm sorry we missed this, Robert.
We were going to head up there, but unfortunately we had screensavers.
Now, this looks awesome.
Now
boy.
this is actually an active set. This is what people see through the front of their drones.
And this isn't going to make you look at all dorky, is it?
No, not at all.
No, not in the least.
And actually,
that is kind of cool.
Brian's got the feed for this, so well. What you see is
that's coming from the drone.
This is from the front of the drone. So if I'm flying this thing around, this little pod is strapped to the top of my drone, and it allows me to see out of the front of the quad as if I were sitting in the front of the quad.
Wow. So it is a virtual experience in the sense that you kind of feel like you're the drone. If I got up right now, I'd probably walk into a wall because I'm not seeing what's in front of me. I'm seeing what the drone's seeing.
And a lot of times you see
I'm upside down. Do people do this standing up or sitting down?
Oh no, they sit it down, and basically because it is an out-of-body experience. Usually, when people start flying, they do what's now called the Ray Charles look, which is the neck kind of goes this way, and if you start asking them what's the orientation of your neck, they can't tell you because they're not here. They're there.
So you kind of have to learn to sit still and not do that because you can probably hurt yourself.
Yep.
And how about nausea? Is there an issue with? I think I might get a little car sick doing this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And people love it, or people will ride that vomit comet for you.
Yeah, yeah. This is cool. Now you said this is your field. Virtual reality.
Yeah.
How did you come to this drone racing thing?
So I was in virtual reality and computer systems and software engineering for quite a while. Did a lot of stuff in virtual heritage out of UC Berkeley.
What's that?
It's cataloging and preserving world heritage by using
so you
virtual
could
reality.
go there even though maybe Machu Picchu's gone, you could actually go and wander it because you've recorded it in virtual reality. Oh,
so my particular interest was location-based computing, so augmented reality of putting a real environment with a virtual information overlay, like on the NFL right now where they had the 1st and 10 line that's contextually on there.
Yeah.
So when I saw this part of it, I was big into drones on a large scale, but like every other teenager, you get hooked on this really fast. And so this is the first really true application I've seen in augmented reality that's on consumer level, and anybody can pick it up with a couple $100.
That's cool.
And so it's just at the very early days of mass consumption.
Combining our two favorite things, drones and VR.
That's it.
Man,
that's exactly where it's headed.
This is huge. You said you started as a teenager. That was probably flying RC planes, though, right?
That was, yes.
They didn't have drones back then.
No, that was line control. So I was going around the circle.
with a line.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, I have to ask. At the FPV Nationals, you had some of the best-known names in the world of drones. You had Sharpoo. You had the boys from Flight Test.
Yep.
And they all crashed out.
Yeah.
Because it's a different kind of flying for competitive racing than just getting beautiful shots.
That's right. So up to this point, it's all been about YouTube and how what's your best YouTube video you can
it's
get.
like my Bebop drone, right? I'm holding the controller and I'm looking at a tablet with the view. I probably couldn't race with that.
No,
be great for getting that aerial shot, but not so good for racing.
Well, the interesting thing is that the mentality that's required to do racing is just like in NASCAR. Like you can drive your own car down the road, but as soon as you get in NASCAR and you got people and lights and action,
So they crash.
The jitter comes on. And so all the top people, all the top pilots who we thought were going to, place in the top 10, they did not place in the top 10.
Interesting.
I had never heard of the champion before he became the champion. I go, who's this guy?
Yeah.
I honestly, I thought Sharpoo was going to kill everybody because I've seen him, his videos, and he's so good. He's so precise. But he crashed within 10 seconds of starting.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
So the guy who won, how did he win?
Well, Chad Nowak won, and he's out of Australia. And
he must have practiced like crazy.
Well, he had a little hidden, a little thing that's called, he's a competitive full-scale glider pilot. So he's already been in very intense situations with, obviously with his own physical self in the.
He was in
the
the pilot,
yes,
in the cockpit. Yeah.
So the reason why he had a competitive advantage was that he was able to really tune out all the noise, tune out all, and focus down. And so his sticks, if you watched him as he was driving on his controller, they were smooth and they were really solid. Whereas if you watched, Sharpoo, in any of those things, the control sticks are so very, very delicate and sensitive that the slightest little twitch will take you and roll you.
It's kind of like me playing Assassin's Creed. I keep running into walls because I can't. You have to be good at this.
That's correct.
So, and had Chad used a virtual reality set before to do this?
So he does both. He still does do full scale gliding, but he loves this because
this isn't new to him.
No, this is not new.
Yeah,
that's correct.
The other thing, I think he's probably a little used to being upside down. He's not so tied to the horizon.
That's correct.
And if you were, taking beautiful shots, you don't fly your drone upside down all that often.
Yeah.
Maybe you do, Padre. But so the idea of being upside down is not so. This I would find hard to do. How fast did Chad? How fast did he make the course? How fast was he going?
Well, we made the course a little bit smaller on purpose because we had the FAA there, we had the FCC there, we had the AMA there, we had everybody and their brother there, and so we had CBS National was there. We had Fox. We had a lot of coverage. So I wanted to make sure that we were not going to have somebody go flying away. So we tuned down the course just slightly, so that the top speeds I would guessing were still in the 50, 60 miles an hour.
Why was the FAA there? They're still investigating how they're going to regulate this stuff.
So the FAA, there's a very interesting thing because drones are still kind of polarizing to everybody, right? And so I said, instead of saying a defensive stance, I said offensive stance. I said, FAA, you guys are the masters at safety.
Yes.
You made everything safe in the airspace. So come and give me that mentorship.
Help us.
Come and help us.
Help us make it safe.
They did.
Yeah.
So we gave them our rule set. We gave them to the Academy for Model Aeronautics as well. And when they looked at our rule set, they're like, wow, these are really conservative. Like instead of having a 400-foot ceiling, which is the FAA allowable, we were at a 50-foot ceiling height, and as soon as you went above 50-foot ceiling height, you were disqualified.
Wow.
So it made everybody fly very, very, very low and very safe.
Do you want to do this, Robert? You're a very good drone pilot.
I definitely want to play next time. But I have to ask, the next step, if we actually want to make this a sport, is we have to get people interested. They have to be able to have views from the front of the quadcopters to make it interesting. But also, there has to be some sort of standardization because right now people bring what they build, and
so there's no anybody can bring their own drone. Interesting.
Yeah. So what do you do for that? I mean, how do you make sure that all the quads are going to be competitive rather than the person who spent $5,000 on his quad to get the best batteries and best motors isn't just going to kill everyone in the field?
Apparently not.
Well, so it's a blend of speed and agility. So a lot of these quads, they would take this one and run a 4-cell battery and 6-inch props, and so basically that's a formula built for speed. But going on this course, suddenly went, oh, maybe I need to go down to a 5-inch props and 3-cell, which then was typically what younger pilots or inexperienced pilots would do. So it kind of leveled the playing field in that way. And so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of moves forward. The technology from a manufacturer standpoint is actually moving very quickly. Immersion RC made what's called the race band, and typically because of our limited bandwidth that we have in the video transmitters, we can only get 3 to 4 pilots in the air. Immersion RC got 8 pilots in the air at the same time. So there's this massive roll of everything going. We use analog video because it has 0 latency in it, and you need it to twitch because it's like driving your car and you turn it and 3 seconds later
you can't do it.
No. And that's what HD does to a lot of these pilots. And so I'm guessing by next time, we just announced the drone World Championships. So I'm guessing by the time of 1 year from now, we will actually have HD with real true zero latency that you'll get that on your broadcast.
You know, we could switch it for you.
Talk to us when you, so you probably have big networks talking to you. I would imagine there'd be a lot of interest in this.
Yes.
Tell me what the plan is going forward.
So there's a lot of people are moving in this space right now, and because it's the Nationals was kind of the first worldwide look at, is this a scalable sport? Can we actually make it as big as NASCAR or golf or the NFL?
I think you can. I think the answer is you can.
Well, I think it is. And the interesting pieces that we had out of putting it in a 12,000 seat stadium is that the stadium was a metal container, and as you know, in RF floor, that's probably not a good thing. So that really made everybody rethink their thoughts about, like, well, can you put it in an NFL stadium, or can you put those things? So,
why is that a problem? Aren't the drones and the controllers all within the metal? I mean, it's not like you're going.
You get multipathing, so you get
some
that
echo.
You get the echoes of all that stuff.
Okay.
Now, there's some new technology that's starting to solve that problem, and so I'm hoping that it's going to be there.
That's what my flights normally look like.
Mine too. Yeah. Do we have Chad's run anywhere? Is that? I would love just to see the.
That's what
that's my flight.
That's actually what
no, Robert, you're good at this. That's what mine look. Oh, wait a minute, and you have.
That's what my flights.
You have drone girls. Is that?
Hobby King had the Hobby King girls there.
Holy camole! This is like racing, isn't it? I think this is going to be huge. You said you've got the Worlds coming up when?
That's in next September, 2016.
Okay. And where is that going to be?
It's in Hawaii. We have not announced where exactly which island it is yet, so that's going to be. We're going to probably post a couple competitions on our social media.
I presume there'll be some events between now and September 2016.
There is. We've been talking about doing the Nationals regional tour, which is the U.S. Nationals will be also sometime in the summer.
Because that's the next step, is to get it out there, get people seeing
That's
it,
correct.
see how exciting it is to watch.
That's correct.
Get some television coverage of a few of these smaller events, see what the response is. Where can we find out more about this kind of thing?
You can go to dronenationals.com, that's the current one for the U.S. Nationals, and then you can go to droneworlds.com, and that's for the World Drone Racing Championships. And of course, you can follow us all on Twitter or Facebook at Drone Nationals or Worlds.
And Flying Grounds is the name of this event. Is that what it is? Or?
No, Flying Grounds is the production company.
That's your company.
It's just a production company that's specific to drone sport.
I love it. Aren't you? Isn't this exciting?
I'm
Robert?
very excited, and I will say I will be at the World competition next year.
Because you have friends in Hawaii. You know how
I've got connections.
You can get
over
there.
Yeah.
Cheebert will
maybe you need to come to our Immersed in Paradise tour, which is going to be touring some of the islands with some of the locals to go fly.
I may have to do that.
Immersed in
I mean,
Paradise.
work is really hard, but I'll sacrifice.
I know it is really hard work, Leo.
Terrible. I couldn't handle it. Tell me, just for people who would interest maybe in pursuing this as a sport of their own, what does it cost to get a setup like Chad's, let's say?
Sure, so you can probably, under $1,000, you can get something that's pretty good. Or if you've got a 3D printer like some of your people,
you can make your own.
This is one that I printed for kids to do STEM education.
Oh, that's neat.
This one actually turns purple when you put it outside in the sunlight. It's pretty cool. This is 100% 3D printed, but it uses all the standard tech that this quad or any of the other ones, like the QAV. This is the one that Sharpoo flies. Not this specific one. He has his own custom one, but it's this frame. And so this has exactly the same electronics in it as this one. So the idea is that kids can get familiar with real, true, tech that's racing performance, but then also
step up. And how about the headsets themselves? Are these in commercial production?
Absolutely. These are what? Well, yours is
these are Sky Zones. So these are $200 to $300.
That's not bad.
And then we built the quad for another $200 to $300.
So you can get into this sport pretty easily. I mean, we're not talking building a NASCAR vehicle. This is pretty affordable. How exciting is that? This is very cool. Scott Refsland is a PhD in VR, which by itself is cool. We're going to get you to come back and talk about that a little bit. And is the race director at Flying Grounds Drone Races. I think this is going to be a big, big sport. Olympics maybe in 8 years?
Maybe 4. This is a hyper market.
Everything moves very fast. Hey, nice.
If I become an Olympic athlete,
wouldn't that be
cool? Is there a special part in the village, the Olympic Village for the drone pilots?
Yeah. Wow. You know what? We should do more on this. I want to try this out. I think I might be really good at this. Coming up in just a bit, we're going to wrap this up with our mailbag. But first, let's see what Peter Rojas has to share with us today. Peter?
Hi, I'm Peter Rojas, at Peter Rojas on Twitter, and a tip I have is I just moved across the country and I decided not to take very many books with me. I had a few hundred books in my collection, my bookshelf, and realized that moving them from New York to San Francisco would be a pretty expensive endeavor. And so what I did is I decided to get rid of all my books and keep track of the ones that I had and frankly the ones that I still had, which I hadn't read yet, by using an app called Goodreads, which has a built-in barcode scanner. You use the camera on your phone to scan the barcode, and then it automatically creates a list of the books that you had. And in my case, there were books that I hadn't read yet. And so I also now have a list of the books that I used to have, but don't have anymore, but still would like to read. And so I was able to get rid of all my books, but still feel like I had that sense of having the collection that I wanted.
That's kind of an interesting idea nowadays. Who needs physical books? It's a pain to move around and stuff. Just scan them, and then you can get them on your Kindle. And I like physical books.
I think he needs some of those Harry's razors.
The hirsute, Peter Rojas. All right, it's time, Martin, for the mailbag. And, of course, we roll in.
This is a real high-tech show.
The mailbag. It was like the Titanic sailing into port, that was. And let's see. Wait a minute. Would you like some Dinty Moore stew? It's the official beverage of
Dinty Moore.
And there's apparently a little Nutella Go in there.
Is this my consolation prize?
Are people storing their lunch in the mailbag these days? Is that what's going on? Marty, take
only 20% saturated fat. Thank you.
Take a message and start, will you? You got to open them up.
I know how mail works.
Yeah, okay. Really? Because it's been a while, hasn't it?
Recently, yeah, I don't get much. I've taken the plunge and upgraded from taking photos on my smartphone, Moto X, to a higher-end camera, Nikon D3100. My question is this: what would be your recommendation on how to monetize my photos? I know there are sponsors such as Shutterstock. Yeah, that's one on Twit Network. But what are some other ways to monetize? I think stock is a really good way.
Yeah.
I mean, in my line of work, we use stock photos all the time. If you don't, it's very expensive to get a real photographer to do a photo shoot, so it's a little bit cheaper to go to one of the stock houses like Getty Images, iStock Photo, Shutterstock, of course, and you search on there, and maybe they have the photo that you want. And if they do, you just pay a little bit, and you can use it. There's different use rates for it, and you can make money. I think they give, I think, 20%. Or 15%.
Who was the sponsor? Ages ago we had a sponsor. What was it? Pond 5. I think they even gave more.
Yeah, there's some Alamy gives 50%. Yeah, there's all kinds of them out there. So check out, see which ones work best for you. If you're exclusive to some of them, for example, I think Shutterstock, I think it bumps it up to 45%.
Yeah, but
you
then
have to be exclusive.
You don't get out
and
there.
that's going to cut yourself.
So at the agency, do you just use one? No, you probably use all the services.
Listen, it is really actually extremely difficult. It can be very, very time-consuming to find the right stock photo.
Right. You don't want it to look like a stock photo.
No,
you
that's
know,
the thing. And most of them,
three diverse people looking at a computer screen. That is so obvious. I see this all the time. In fact, it's a giveaway to me when I go to a website that has one big stock image on there. I go, yeah, they're not.
Most stock photos are laughable.
Yeah.
So
that's another way to make money. Do a good one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if you've got some skills, this really could make you some money.
Don't let it look like a stock photo. The other way you can go, and some photographers do this, and I think this is a great solution, is SmugMug. You ever hear of SmugMug?
SmugMug.
SmugMug is a kind of a photo sharing service a lot of pros use, smugmug.com. One of the reasons they like it is you can sell pictures there as well. So if you've got a clientele, if your pictures are great and you've got people who want to print it out for their wall, or you can sell them directly there. You set the price, so you set how much you make. They sell a variety of products, not just prints, but you could get mugs, mouse pads, all sorts of different stuff at SmugMug. So if you, and many pros do this, share your photos, put your photos on SmugMug anyway as a gallery for yourself or clients. Turn on the monetization, and actually I put my photos there, but I don't monetize
it. Do you make any money?
No, because I don't. Well, people buy photos. Yeah, if they see a photo they like, they say, "I'd like a print of it." They can get a 4x5 or a 14x19 if they want, and they just pay the cost. I don't make money on top of it, but you get to choose that. You could say, "I'd like to make 50% more or whatever than the cost," so you can make some money on that.
What's the matter with you? Why don't you want to make some money off of it?
You're nuts. I don't think anybody buy my pictures, to be honest with you. Internet usage question here from Robert in Temecula, California. My internet data keeps on increasing, at least according to my MiFi bill from AT&T. I'm on a 40 gig plan. That's got to cost you a pretty penny. But I'm going past my limit every month, as much as 10 or 20 gigabytes past my limit. I can't seem to figure out what's consuming all this data. Is it Gmail? Multiple listing services? He's obviously a realtor. Databases? Facebook? Typical browsing? I don't do anything like stream movies. Can you recommend any application that can monitor usage and tell me which application is chomping all my data? Robert from Temecula. You know, it's one of the things that they did so nicely on iOS, the iOS 8 update. You can actually look, if you go to your cellular data, and it'll break down how much data each application has downloaded. That's so useful, but that's on an iPhone. He's using a MiFi, so it's not going to be much use for him. I'll tell you, having looked at my iPhone, Facebook is a killer, especially if you don't turn off autoplay movies, because that means every movie in your Facebook stream gets downloaded the minute you hit Facebook so that it'll play instantly. So go into your Facebook settings and turn off autoplay movies immediately. That's going to save you an amazing amount of bandwidth. He says Gmail, probably not. Those MLS databases, probably not. Browsing can, surprisingly. In fact, it's one of the issues we came up against when we were redesigning the Twit website is how big should a web page be? Nowadays, people have high speed, so maybe you could make a website that's 100K or more. On the other hand, people are going to start to resent you if you're using up all their data. Not to mention, if you're on mobile, the speeds aren't as fast. Maybe the site takes a while to load. And we had to balance that because we have lots of big images on our site. We wanted them to look good, but we didn't want the web page itself to be so massive. So you kind of have to juggle that, and maybe not everybody does that. You look at sites like The Verge with lots of pictures, and lots of ads. Those can start to add up. So you might want to think about turning off, for instance, image loading on your browser. The good news about an iPhone is it's not using Flash. Maybe the devices you use on your MiFi turn off Flash. That could save you a lot of space too. Marty, you got one more for us? I think I gave you a couple. Don't throw anything away.
Today, I received a call from Microsoft saying I had a virus.
No!
Now you're in trouble. Needless to say, thanks to you, I knew it was a scam.
Oh, good. Okay.
He played stupid. He played along with the person. This is what I like to do, play along with the person and waste their time because they're wasting your time, so why don't you play their game?
Good idea. You know, if you go to YouTube,
and that's exactly what he's suggesting.
Is he putting it up?
My advice with these scammers is to waste their time.
Yep. If you go to YouTube, you'll see there's a number of people who have recorded long, drawn-out conversations. First thing they say is, well, I see you're running Windows. And I've heard people running Macs say, yeah, I'm running Windows, yeah, and going on and on. Needless to say, we talked about this last week with Megan Maroney, or a couple of weeks ago. Microsoft does not call you. They do not offer to fix problems. They do not see viruses on your system. You can forget that. That's a scammer. And absolutely, if you want to mess with them, be my guest.
Do it. It's fun. And what's really funny is when you do it and you play with them for about 45 minutes, they get really, really mad at you.
They do.
They don't apologize and say, well, you got me. No. They get mad at you.
Yes.
So what's the matter with you for wasting my time?
They will. They'll yell at you.
Pal, you called me.
Hey, I want to thank our great studio audience. They've been a lot of fun, don't you think? From all over the United States. If you want to be here, tickets at twit.tv. Of course, we do this show right after the radio show every Saturday afternoon, about 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's 2200 UTC. And it's always a lot of fun to come in and watch the live show, be part of the chat room. Of course, if you can't, on-demand audio and video of all of our shows, always available on our new website, twit.tv. In this case, twit.tv/NSS. We've got a YouTube channel, youtube.com/The New Screensavers, probably, something like that. And you can, of course, get us on any podcast app. Just look for New Screensavers. Marty, great to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Anytime.
It's always fun. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Marty Sargent, the greatest. Anything you want to plug? What are you up to? I think you're doing some lounge singing lately in the... No?
That's upcoming. I don't want to disclose the location yet.
Okay.
But it
Very
involves
exciting.
a cage and a pole. So...
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the new Screensavers. Bye-bye!